Hello and welcome back, everybody. This is MC1 Gamer, just bringing you a little bit of an update from the latest End Times book, the Tranquol book, and some of the big changes that we're probably going to see more of when it comes to 9th edition. And that is something that we saw a little bit of over the past few years, things like Battlescrolls and what they're now calling formations, or Battlescroll formations. There's a whole bunch of them in the new End Times book. And they are apparently for various different armies. So, in addition to some changes and some new models and new units and new characters, and the new Vermin Lord for the Skaven, there's some new stuff also for the various armies that you can take that can supplement that can replace rather the core units. So this is how it reads. If you take the complement of these units, the collection of these units, you replace the 25% minimum core unit requirement, and then whatever's left in a standard game, I guess, of like 2,500 or 2,400 points, depending on what's your standard in your area, then you can take whatever you want. So you can take the rest out of rare or whatever. It doesn't conflict. Now, usually in Battlescrolls, what we've seen is that it kind of evens out, because, for instance, there's been a couple of undead ones. There was a chaos one, and I know particularly for the undead ones, and I've used the one with the Garden of Moor, the Restless Dead, and there's another one that allows you to basically have a White King BSB that can give you like kind of another focal point that allows you to march from within 12 inches of, in addition to your general. So that one's a little bit harder to get, but when you added up all the points percentage, when everything was defined in those battle scrolls, it really came down to being a core tax. So you kind of had to take more core in order to get some of the benefits. Now, the one with the Restless Dead, which is one of the more popular of the two vampire count ones, and it was supposedly one that you could take with any army, but it really kind of worked best with a vampire counts army. And a lot of places where I've seen it comped required you to take it with a vampire counts army. You couldn't take it with another army, because I think it was a really way overpowered way of taking it with, say, for instance, a Chaos Dwarf army, and you would take this as an added contingent, and somehow it compounded with, I think, some of the Death Casters and some of the abilities that it gave from the Garden of Moor, the graveyard, that gave all kinds of great abilities. It allowed for rerolls of failed regen checks. It gave pluses to regen, enhancements, subtractions to leadership. For there was a lot of great stuff with that. But you had to pay a core tax, so all the points kind of evened out otherwise in terms of characters and whatnot, and percentages wise. But you would pay basically an extra 200 points of ghouls for 20 extra ghouls, or for the other one, the one with the Mounted Knights and the Grave Guard and the White King, you pay another 200 points in skeletons. Okay, no big deal. They're shitty core units, but you got a lot of benefits for those. This is a completely different thing. This is replacing completely the requirement for core. So depending on what the makeup is, it could be something that could be very interesting, and could be it could be fun to do. But maybe this is something a little bit more of what we're of things to come. So let's go over some of them. There's a bunch of them. There's one obviously for the Skaven. How could it be a Skaven focused book and not be one for Skaven? And that's called Thanquol's Uprising. So you get Tranquol and Bone Ripper. You get the Vermin King. You get a unit of Clan Rats. A unit of Storm Vermin. Storm Fiends. Those are like the new armored rat ogres with crazy abilities. And Gunner Runners, some Giant Rats, Warlock Engineer. And one of them you can upgrade to a wizard or take magic items. And the formation actually closest, I think, there's to Tranquol becomes unbreakable, and there's a warlock that has some advantages when casting warp lightning. So that's pretty interesting. Then there's this one called the Claw Pack of Moors. So you get Queeks, some Storm Vermin, 2 units of Clan Rats, Jezzails, and Globadiers. The units in a formation close to Queek can reroll charges, and once per battle, shooting units may shoot twice. So things like that. The one that I like the most is probably the one that's the weakest. There's other ones. There's a Lizardman one. There's one for what looks like the Empire. The one that I'm most interested in is the one that that's for the dwarves, but it's probably the weakest, and that's called the Dwarven Throng, and that's Thorgrim, Ungrim, the Incarnate of Fire. And if you don't know what the rules are for him, he is now supercharged Ungrim. The unfortunate thing is, though, is that he's nowhere near as tough as some of the other superpowered superhero types like Nagash or the Eternity King Malekith or Shazam, as Josh from Materim likes to call him, Khalfran's Ascended. Ungrim is like 400 and, I don't know, 30 or 450 points, or whatever Skaven slaves you want to call it. I don't care. GW's not banging on my door if I use these numbers. But this is an interesting one because there's units here that I like, and I like the idea of playing with, for instance, Iron Drakes during my short tenure as a dwarf player. So you got Thorgrim, you got Ungrim, the Incarnate of Fire. You got Bugmen, which is cool. I love Bugmen. So unit of Hammerers, unit of Rangers, Iron Drakes, and then you take 3 units of Slayers. And the Slayers can re-roll to hit with their Death Blow attacks, which you know they're going to be taking. And they can re-roll 1s to wound and armor saves with core units in the whole army. So that's a pretty interesting one. I don't think that there's going to be. I mean, it's going to be like around 2,000 points or so. You still have about roughly 400 plus points to spend on war machines, which those can get eaten up pretty quickly. But I'm sure you can get some stuff to take with it. But again, it's an interesting one. I think you could probably build a better list, but this is nice to be able to to take these units basically as essentially your core units, and not have to have the requirements if you don't want to for warriors or longbeards or whatever. You can take some of these elite units, and I think it's pretty cool for the dwarves to have that. It's fluffy. There's a Red Host, which is a lizardman one, which a little love to the lizardmen who are about to be taking to their spaceships out into space, probably to join 40K. Where you have Tehenhuan, I don't know how to pronounce that one. It's called the Red Host. The Skink Chief, Skink Cohort, Salamanders, Chameleons, a couple Bastildons, Ripperdactyls. They have Hatred versus Skaven. It says Arcs on the Bastildon deal 3d6 instead of 2d6. That's pretty good. And the Skink and Skink Cohort have +1 to weapon skill. That's not bad either, especially if you want to have, if you do lots of skinks. Anyway, the next one is Empire Defenders of Middenheim. And that's Volton, a Battle Wizard Lord, Grandmaster, Knightly Order, Halberdiers with 2 crossbowmen units as detachments, a Free Company unit, and Swordsmen. And the Wizard knows a new spell. And I don't have any details about the new spell. Let's see, it says Volton and units close to him are unbreakable, and as long as he is alive, everyone in the Empire list is stubborn. So these are pretty interesting. Some more things that are coming out about, the next End Times book. Again, even though it's just an End Times book, they're shaking things up even more. On top of what we've come to expect, things like a new character or a couple of new units. Now they're adding in new formations. So if you think things have been getting batshit crazy with End Times before, whether you love it or hate it, things are clearly ramping up. And certainly with the rumors coming for 9th, I'm sure these are more of these types of things to come. And I think this might be some more foreshadowing for what we might be seeing with how things are going to be in 9th. Where a new box set comes out or a new model set or something like that, where you have new rules that are instituted that change up maybe with a new Battlescroll, so they can get you another, they can get you to pay another $8 download for a PDF. But these are the kinds of things I think we're going to see a lot more of. These microtransactions, these incremental payments for various things that are linked to new releases. And I know people are going to hate it, or at the very least, it's going to cause some very visceral reactions. But this is where I think that Warhammer's going. Warhammer Fantasy. I think anybody who's been playing 40K, and I'm not playing 40K, but I hear a lot about all these different things, and especially for people that play both systems. But this is the kind of stuff that apparently you see a lot in 40K, and we've heard, if you've been listening to any of the rumors for over a year now, about the intent for things to become a little bit more standardized between the two systems. Not so that there necessarily should be a crossover. That's possible. I mean, could they want to do that to make it more like Warhammer Hordes? Sure, maybe. But more likely, what we're probably seeing is just they want a system that is easy for somebody to pick up one and then move to the other if they want to, and have a lot of similarities. We saw that with the most recent edition of 40K with things like their Psychic phase, almost exactly like our Magic phase. So close, so similar. The major changes that made it much more fantasy-like. I think we're going to be seeing, as has been reported by a lot of people, a lot of the YouTubers, and a lot of rumors that we've seen on sites and whatnot, of things that are going to be a little bit more 40K-ish that are going to be into our fantasy. So there's going to be a little more of a blending. Get ready, buckle up. If you don't like it, I hope that you don't start, just sell all your stuff. We don't know yet what's real, but, expect more different things to come. I think that from what the rumors say, that we're going to probably see the next edition around May. That's that's a rumor, but then I also heard a rumor that that said that we would see the next edition before the next End Times book. And the way the cycle has been, it just doesn't seem like they would be waiting till July to release the next End Times book. I'm guessing the way things have been going, we're going to see another End Times book sometime in March or April. So either we're going to see the 9th edition sooner than what's been projected, or we're going to see the next End Times book sooner. So we'll have to see how that turns out, but I'm sure that we're going to be getting a lot of more information. And hey, feel free to go and post if you get any more tidbits, rules, any new information. I don't care if there's spoilers, anything specific. Feel free to post it. I'm more than happy to discuss it, and I'm more than happy to hear about it. And I just want to raise my head. I lower my head in silent prayer for the passage of what apparently is going to be lizardmen and ogres and dwarves. We're going to see. It just seems like the dwarves are evacuating. They're pulling a Dunkirk and taking off. And the dwarves are going to be pulling a kind of almost like a last stand against the Skaven in this book. Skaven and Chaos are basically getting in bed together, or at least Warriors of Chaos, which is just an astonishing combination. If you thought the other combinations from the other End Times books were bad or tough, it just seems like every Legion's iteration seems to be that much tougher or that much more crazy. I don't know how much crazier it can get. Again, Empire, Ogres, and Dwarves, and Battlescroll combining seems like that would be a crazy combination too. But the idea of one of the highest model count and crazy and devastating rules for the Skaven army, combined with just the sheer punch and elite power of a Warriors of Chaos army, it's just a scary thought. And I play on Dead Legions, and that just sounded like absolutely nutcase when it came out. And while Chaos Legions didn't seem as bad, it could be as bad or worse in terms of toughness. The Eternity King list and the Elven Host just took it to another level, and I think it just keeps going up. I think we're at level 4 now. Each one is just one higher in terms of power, or at least at least parity +1. So let's see where this goes. But I'm happy to hear more information from people who've gotten the book, maybe the digital copies. Post it up here, and we'll see what else we can share with people. Have a great day, everybody.